Good evening. It's 10:51 here in Nairobi on a Friday night, and I had a late night last night. So the fact that I'm still awake is a testament to mind power. I slept after maybe about 1 a.m. because there was an online meet on entrepreneurship, uh, just part of the Rhodes Scholars Association, the global group event. And today's been a pretty good day. There were two events that took place that I attended. One was a book launch at the National Library. The other one was a documentary screening, And both of them, I think especially the last one really speak to what I want to talk about, which is a nervous system approach to politics. So I have been in politics about maybe about 22-ish years now, because I started way back as a student leader, doing student politics, and I joined party politics about when I was maybe in about second or third year. And so I've been in that. I have also been in the media journalistic world. I've also been in the creative, artistic literature world, the film world. I've been in the civil society world. And also, meanwhile, as all this was happening, I've also always been very fascinated by psychology and um, especially I think related to trauma healing and getting to wholeness and the understanding of how the nervous system runs us as human beings, and how the subconscious and the nervous system, and that the subconscious actually controls us by 95%. Like 95% is our subconscious running the show. 5% is our mind, which assumes that it is in control. And when I say the subconscious and the nervous system, I'm thinking if I want to say that if they are the same thing, are they the same thing? I'm going to come back to that. But for now, I am almost treating them as the same thing, uh, because the subconscious, I'm trying to think how, like, which comes first, which is bigger than the other. Is it the nervous system that carries the subconscious? Is it the subconscious that carries the nervous system? But I think the nervous system is like the embodied subconscious. Maybe that's one way to put it. That so it's like the physical entity, and then how socialization has happened is what has shaped us to put in the holes and to put in the eventual way it's going to look like. Let me see if I have anything here that can kind of give an example of that. um Nothing is coming right now, but but the nervous system and its state of health or non-health, uh you know what, I will actually, for now, I will go ahead and say that they kind of are one and the same thing, or rather, I will use them interchangeably. Maybe in future videos we'll have been able to uh, be a bit more specific on what do we mean when we're talking about each, and we'll be able to talk about them differently. But I want to talk about a nervous system approach to politics, and that's something that we've never really done. We've never looked at politics from the nervous system. We've looked at politics, political economy. We've looked at politics via, um, just raw power analysis. We've looked at politics via the, the social aspect. We've looked at politics via class. We've looked at politics in so many different ways. But I've been thinking about looking at politics via the nervous system, and looking at a country and how things are going and how that correlates to the nervous system. And I say this because of fractals which are like patterns that appear in nature. So the way the individual body is the same way the societal body is. And even that's why we talk about the body politics. And so I think for me, it's been so interesting in my own journey of understanding my subconscious, my nervous system. It's what's given me so much insight to be able to understand, having looked at myself and understood myself, when I then look out into the wider world, when I look out into the society and how our politics is going, I then am able to see, so this is why this is happening. Like I'm able to correlate. I'm able to see things like sabotage, like, oh my gosh, like, you're able to see that I have been doing patterns of self-sabotage. Then you're able to see in the nation that, oh, this country is doing patterns of self-sabotage. You're able to see your own impulses. You're able to see your own, and whether those impulses are healthy or unhealthy. You're able to see patterns. You're able to see uh, ways in which you have your own learned helplessness, and you sit in the wider society. You're able to see your own ways in which you kind of like have amnesia, like almost giving yourself amnesia. Then you're able to see how the wider society does it. Um, and I think it was last week I wrote an article actually about self-sabotage in the society and individuals, and that was the beginning of exploring this nervous system theory. And I do want to do a lot more of that, exploring this nervous system theory approach to politics. And because we're in a time of really some heightened political turbulence, uh, maybe one of the higher moments was with the Gen Z protests last year. But protests have now been kind of criminalized, so we're not going to see a lot more of them. But then the thing is that energy needs an outlet, and I think now that this is why this topic is so important. That as an individual, if you're feeling something and you're expressing it, and then you force yourself to, no, you're not allowed to say that. Like that energy will have to go somewhere. That anger, that rage, that fear, that whatever emotion, that emotion will have to go somewhere. So part of the thing why we need to start understanding the politics from the nervous system angle is so that we can be able to figure out, now that protest is not possible, what other outlets can we set up to enable this anger, this rage in the society to come out, like a kind of like a pressure cooker. Because if there's no pressure cooker, it's going to go inwards. And now that's when you're going to see depression. You're going to see a lot more like eating, self-cannibalizing. The energy will eat the self. And so the documentary screening that I attended today was run by an international body called, I'm trying to remember what its name was. Well, was it the Art of Living? It was called the Art of Living Foundation, which I think is either based in India or something. And they do a lot around meditation and yoga. And they've been doing some really beautiful work, like taking meditation and yoga and breathing to the informal sectors. And I was just thinking about anchors, like where is our national nervous system anchored on? And because now chakra system also comes in. Chakra system comes in, like full alignment means that all the energy centers have to be aligned. So for example, this group, The Art of Living, the reason that they were able to come up with such a beautiful, well done documentary. In fact, the reason I attended that event was because of the title of that documentary. Did I write it down here? The documentary was titled "When Dreams Learn to Breathe." Like, can you feel that poetry? When dreams learn to breathe. Man. And the theme was about, youth unemployment, was about mental health issues, was about just really hope where there's hopelessness. And I could see part of the success of these guys, the Art of Living Foundation, is because they're part of there's a whole international group. And so the chakra systems are aligned. Like there's an anchor. There's an anchor to ensure there's excellence. And I was thinking about Kenya, like, what is our anchor? What is the bigger thing that pulls us outside of our um, murkiness? I don't want to say mediocrity. Outside of our murkiness. And the only answer that came really was colonialism and capitalism, and which are very unstable anchors. Which are anchors of, you know how in the Bible it says, uh, don't build a house on sand, on sinking sand. You have to build on solid rock. And so I think that's why we also see a lot of dysfunctions happening in our African nations, almost coming close to centuries, to a century rather, of the forming, not independence, but really coming together. It's because our chakra system is so shaky, it is so disconnected. There's no anchor, there's nothing that pulls us to our highest. And so we are always sunken. It's like a nervous system that's just completely always collapsed. And so it can never really uh, get stand uprightly. And in a way, it's kind of like parenting. Like if you're in a family where like the nervous system of the parents is like just completely collapsed, and there's such a huge victim mentality and everything. It then influences what the children are going to be like, because a person whose nervous system is just completely in either depression or either completely always trauma fighting and everything, it means they're not intentional about their life. They're not living their life with values. They're not thinking about, especially values, because a person who's talking on the level of values, there's a level of groundedness that they need to be at. And the level of groundedness is the ventral vagal nerve. I think the other nerves in the nervous system was, I think there's a dorsal nerve, and I can't remember the other one right now. I'm not a scientist. I am a writer. I'm a journalist. But then writers actually we don't use this language, but we do write from the subconscious. So our talent is actually being able to read what is happening on on the subconscious plane. So we are seeing beyond the here and now, like what the physical, but we're able to read energy. So that's kind of where I'm getting this. That's what gives me the authority to talk about the nervous system like this. So yeah, and so then the question would be, what do we need to center the country's nervous system to, such that the chakra system, the chakra center, the energy centers will be aligned. Ideally, it could be like a continental body. For example, it would be the African Union, if the African Union was a fully independent, anchored and centered entity in itself, but it's not. In fact, today I was reading that 70% of funding from the African Union is actually not from within the continent. But so ideally, it would be something like the African Union that would be anchoring us, or if not the African Union, maybe it would be the United Nations. But then now you see how funding affects everything. Um, so I guess part of the questions moving forward is, what do we need to anchor? Like, okay, not even before it being a question, that there is a need to anchor the national nervous system on something. And so the question would be what? So this was just thinking out loud. And I like how, because at the beginning I had no idea that this was going to go this way. So I love that it's actually come in this direction. And I guess that's something that we're going to keep on exploring as we move forward. And with that, I wish you a wonderful evening. Goodbye.